I'm going to ask a question that I ask myself every year when I start a garden, which here at Whirlwind Family Farm, I'll turn the camera around, is a market garden here in Central Texas. By the way, I'm Jeff with Whirlwind Family Farm. We are here in the Texas Hill Country. So glad you found our channel. So, back to that essential question in your garden, wherever your garden is, what is the top priority? What's the thing that is the most important to that garden each and every year, each and every season? And there's lots of different priorities. First of all, what do we want to plant? What time do we want to plant it of the year? Plant those different vegetables. Where am I going to buy my seeds? What is the seed source I buy from? Because there can be lots of bad choices out there. This is just a bonus for today. If you like to go to just your local grocery store and there's a little rack of seeds there, don't ever buy your seeds. The grocery store makes their money in many different ways, but that little end cap or that area where they have those seeds, don't buy those there. Only because they could be last year's seeds and they just drug that thing back out in the spring. That's just a bonus for today. But back to the question, what is my top priority for my garden each year? And as I'm about to walk through my two high tunnels, my answer is simply this, and that's your soil. Your top priority is your soil. Everything else is dependent upon that. It's kind of like the foundation of a home. Whenever they lay that slab and put down the slab for a brand new home, they want to make sure everything is perfectly leveled off. I know my wife and I went through that a few years ago, building a home out here in this area. And it's amazing all the painstaking time that these contractors, if they do it right, they're out there with those laser measurements and leveling and getting everything just right, because that's the foundation of that house. And if I can use that analogy, that's the foundation of your garden, literally, is that soil, which you see some of my soil behind me. You see some of the soil right there where those bush beans are, and you can see the rich darkness of it. And that just didn't happen overnight. We have a sandy loam out here, which is good, has lots of organic material in it when we got out here, but that's not sustainable. Over time, the plants are going to take that nutrition out, and that's where compost is so important. So, back to that most foundation thing, which is the soil. What do I do each year to make sure that it's going to be as good as possible? And one of the things I would tell you, it starts with where you put your garden. You don't want to put it in an area that has too much of a slope. If it's all you have or it is a slope, make sure you can set it up where that soil is always running down the rows and not across, because a good heavy rain can just come across those beds. If the rain's coming downhill and the rows are set across it, the rain will just, water will come across and just wash out the compost. And back to my days when I was in agriculture in college, they always said plant and grow across the elevation sideways. And that's right. In a big monocrop setting, that's absolutely correct. But in these small gardens, you want that water to channel right into those pathways so it doesn't spill over and go across your beds. So that's the first thing. Find the right location, the right setup for your garden, and that's going to preserve and have less erosion. The next thing I would tell you is once you get those beds set up, the length, the width, where you want them in your backyard, is first of all, you want to set it up in a no-till setting. Now, no-till, minimal tillage, is an old thing. It goes back from what I have studied. People started, it might have even been Germany. Don't quote me on that, but it goes back to the 1800s when they first started trying no-till. And I think that Native Americans in this country, whenever they discovered they didn't have plows or things, they used a method of no-till. They were just planting things. Makes total sense. And so that's the first thing we want to do, is we want to go in, clear off that place. That's where you'd use a rotiller one time to clear that spot off, or you can do it with a hoe. We literally cleared this off, this 1 acre, with hose. So once that's done, you want a no-till system, because not using plows, not using a rotiller is not flipping the soil and drying it out and killing micronutrients. So that's the key to a no-till system, is disturbing that soil as little as possible and keeping something growing on it as much as possible. And then the last thing I would tell you for that top priority of soil is finding a compost that absolutely is organic, has all the right nutrients in it. In any place that you buy your compost, wherever you buy it at, the company that we have it actually trucked in here on a large dump truck every year, is that they have a readout that tells us everything that's supposed to be in it. Doesn't mean it's, we've had years when it had a little bit more trash in it, and that's always something that's irritating when you see that happen. It just has other things in it that shouldn't be. But for the most part, it's been a very good choice what we have purchased for out here. But that's a key. Know who that person is, know exactly what the micronutrients that are in that compost, and make sure it is fully organic, because I've heard horror stories of people who have either gotten some hay or horse manure from someplace to put it on their garden, only to have everything not grow and kill it for the next 3 years. That's because they had a pesticide, or they had a anti-herb or a herbicide that the horses were consuming, and then of course it ends up in their manure. And when that manure was spread out on the garden, that chemical was in their garden for years to come. And I heard a story where a gentleman had to literally come back in, put new soil down he had a fairly large couple of acre garden, had to come in with all new compost. It was an ordeal. So in a small backyard garden, that's less of an issue, because you can go to retailers that have good certified organic compost and buy it from them. But my point this morning, if I have to give you one point, and again, in a small backyard garden, these are all micro decisions: what you're going to grow, when you're going to plant, all things you can look up online, but make the soil a priority. Two things I would tell you, as I just talked about, is minimal, no tillage whatsoever, no till system, and the next, to get the very best compost that you can afford, and some that you know is a good, reliable source. And you'll get results like these. If you can look in there, if I can get the camera close enough, you can see planted 4 days ago. Those are little onions that are just germinating because they have been kept wet and they're in good organic compost on that bed right there. So there's a lot of simplicity in what I told you, but it's one of those things that gets overlooked, is that it's a good foundation, just like the analogy I used a few minutes ago, talking about a good foundation of a home. The foundation of your garden is the soil, so make it the priority. So I hope that helps. And we know you're going to have a great season ahead. We're now in late fall. Still a lot of things, depending on the zone you live in, a lot of things can be still grown. I always say here at Whirlwind Family Farm Zone 8, we harvest all the way sometimes into January. So there's season left. It's just right dead in the middle of winter, which is the no grow zone. After that, February, we're starting up again. Thanks again for finding our channel. We appreciate it. It always means a lot to Whirlwind Family Farm. Like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. We certainly do appreciate it. Thanks again. We also have another video you can check out right here that'll take you further along that education process. Blessings over you, your family, your garden. Talk to you soon from Whirlwind Family Farm.